Dude is very hungry. Dude is very good. He's suited for the Afcon game. He can score. He can provide an assist. And to me, he'll be a better number 10. And most likely, he's going to be able to feed Kudus with the balls that he needs, similar to what Paqueta does at West Ham. What is up? Welcome back to another episode here. We'll be looking at the Ghana-Egypt match in the second round of the Afcon. And this is a very high-intensity match. There's a lot at stake. The tickets for this event has been sold out even before the Afcon started. In the last match, Ghana was tactically poor with Cape Verde. They were caught out of position so many times. The Cape Verdeans had a lot of spaces to exploit, and they did exactly that. And so if I were to be the coach of Ghana, the first thing I'll do is to fix my tactics, make sure the boys play in better harmony and protect the spaces, especially when they are off possession. Ghana should avoid defeat at all costs if they want to have any chance of progressing to the next round. If they should lose, they're coming home. And what that means is that for twice in a row, they failed to progress from the group stage of the Afcon, which is very damning and undeserving for a team like this. All right. Egypt, on the other hand, would want to better their chances of qualifying by winning this match. They drew against Mozambique in the first round. Also in a match where a lot of people thought would be a ride in the park for Egypt. And that's one of the things we love about this year's Afcon. There's a lot of unpredictability on here. And that's what makes it exciting for people like me. Now, Egypt, in the last 8 games, have won 5, have drawn 1, and have lost 2. And one of their losses were in the final on penalties against Senegal. And so these are not like group stage losses that they are losing. These are high-stake matches that they are losing. Now, Ghana in the last 10 Afcon games have won just 1. That is very damning for a country that says it's a football country. And so, on paper, Egypt is clearly the winning team. But, sometimes football doesn't follow logic. Sometimes football doesn't make sense. And the Ghanaians would hope that this will be one of the days where luck will be on their side and football will not make sense. Now, so considering the intensity and the things at stake, I would go for a scored draw. I would go for a 2-2 draw between both teams. They're going to share a point again for Egypt, and hopefully Ghana will make its first point in the tournament, which will increase their chances of progressing. So a score draw 2-2 is what I'm predicting. Now let's move to the lineup. Okay, so I'm going to go with the 4-2-3-1 lineup. Now in the goalpost, I would place Richard Ofori with Atizigi. And why? Well, let's understand how Egypt likes to score its goals. They like to shoot from distance, and they like to do a lot of tap-ins. And so you need a goalkeeper that will be able to effectively deal with this threat. And we saw in the first game that, especially for the first goal against Ghana and Cape Verde, Richard Ofori did parry the ball directly onto the path of the opponent. And the Ghanaian team cannot afford to make such mistakes. Egypt will have a ride in the park if you do not have a good shot stopper. And so that is why I'm choosing Atizigi, mainly because of the style of play for Egypt and the way they like to score goals. In defense, I'm going to make one change. I'm going to replace Mohammed with Daniel Amate. Okay, so why am I dropping Swalisu? Well, mainly because he was out of position for a lot of the time. If you look at the first goal against Ghana, he was way out of. He was way deep into the defensive line. If there was an attacker who was fast enough from Cape Verde, he would have played that attacker onside. And looking at the second goal, he basically lost concentration and the ball went through his legs and gave an opportunity out of nothing. We cannot afford to be making such errors, and so Daniel Amate will be a best fit. Also, Daniel Amate has played at the World Cup together with Jiku, and so there's this kind of cohesion or telepathy, the word that everyone keeps throwing around. There's this telepathy between the two of them, between Amate and Jiku, and so that is why I'm going to choose Amate over Swalisu. So Swalisu should sit on the bench and watch how things are done. I'm going to maintain the left back and the right back. Gideon Mensah is doing well, same as Odoi. So I'm going to maintain these two guys. All right. So for my two holding or defensive midfielders, I'm going to maintain Ashimieru. He had a relatively better game, and I'm going to drop Baba Idusu immediately. I saw some really damning statistics that you can see on your screen now about him. You play an entire 90 minutes and you do not make a tackle. And mind you, this is a defensive midfielder. If you're not able to make tackles, then why are you really there? What were you doing there? For so many times, you saw him lose the ball cheaply. A memorable one was when he was given the ball by Jiku and he couldn't scan properly to see who was around him and gave the ball away. He immediately fouled the player and got a yellow card. We can't afford to do this. There are a lot of players in Egypt that will take advantage of Baba Idrisu, and we can't afford to do that. I'll drop Baba Idrisu and replace him with Salis Abdul Ahmed. He's a better defensive midfielder in my opinion. Alright, so to the next line of the midfield, I'm going to drop Jordan Ayew and rather push Ransford Yeboah to that position. Ransford didn't have a good game against Cape Verde, and it's mainly because he was played out of position. It basically wasn't his fault. If you look at his heat map, he actually did not play in his position. All the time that he had the touches were outside of that 10 position he was played in, and so it wasn't his fault. Let's put him in the natural wing position that he's good at. So I'm going to put him on the left wing. On the right wing, I'm going to replace Antoine Semenyo with Mohammed Kudus. News broke out that he's fit and available for the Egypt match, and so if he's healthy, I'm going to replace him with Antoine Semenyo. Semenyo in Blackstars is much better coming off from the bench than starting. And I would also want to maintain Mohammed Kudus in that position because that is a similar position he plays at West Ham. He plays in a similar formation, in a similar position at West Ham. And that is where he gets fed a lot of balls from Paqueta. And so if there's someone in the Blackstars that is going to feed him the balls, then he's going to produce the wonders that he does produce at West Ham. In place of Ransford at the number 10 position, I'm going to put Osman Bukari in there. Dude is very hungry. Dude is very good. He's suited for the Afcon game. He can score. He can provide an assist. And to me, he'll be a better number 10. And most likely, he's going to be able to feed Kudus with the balls that he needs, similar to what Paqueta does at West Ham. Now, at the striker position, I'm going to put Inaki Williams over there. He's not necessarily the strongest, but he's tactically aware. And if he's get fed a lot of good balls, he can do magic. Alright, so that will be my selection for this particular Egypt match. Okay, so these are some of the substitutes that I would want to see them come in. First and foremost, I would want to see Jonathan Sowa come in and make his debut for the Blackstars. He is a very solid player that plays for a local club called Mediama in Ghana. And Mediama is in the Champions League, and so he has an experience playing on the continent. And I would want to see him make his debut. Of course, depending on the dynamics of the game. I would also want to see Antoine Semenyo come on in the second half. Again, depending on the dynamics of that game. And should luck be on the side of Ghana and they seem to be winning by 2 goals, that is when I would want to let someone like Jordan Ayew or his brother Dede Ayew come onto the pitch. So this is what I have for you guys. What do you think about it? Let me know.